each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge, it's the Holy Grail.
Improvised. Mysterious.
It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.
So here is what we're going to cover in the next 45 minutes. The 3 secrets of becoming your own self-illuminated master. What is self-illumination? And being a master of self-illumination. I want everyone that's in the chat room right now to put in one sentence on what being a self-illuminated master means to you. And we're going to look at some of these questions. And we're going to look at some of these answers so that we can understand self-illumination and define it with the common colloquial now. Many people are going to have one version of self-illumination. Some will have others because they've been listening to these last 8 webcasts and have been beginning to understand the meta message, direct message, and inner messages between messages about what self-illumination truly means, to be the self-illuminated master of the now. So go on. Try, push your envelope. Engage your sacred discipline of spirit to write in a sentence on what self-illumination is. What being the master of self-illumination is. For we are going to be covering the 3 secrets of the self-illuminated masters next. Mohaha. As we are on a delay, I shall have to wait for the answers of those of you to come in. For the first secret is, what am I expecting to come out of the chat room? Do I know? Do I not want to know? Here is where we don't realize we are creating it without even aware that we're creating it. Yet we have the control to change it, even though you're unaware that you're creating it. That is the expectation, creating limitations that go into our unseen world, that allow unseen access, that creates negativity within our frequencies, because our unawareness is being abused by our own individual programs. Those own individual programs have created and used expectation as the form of your personal limitation. Personal limitation through expectation. How simple have they made it to program us to limit ourselves with something as simple as expectation? We are divine, infinite beings, and they have figured out a thought construct called expectation and layered it into our society, and have got us by the metaphorical balls and ovaries, because we will limit ourselves. They barely need to do anything but add a TV commercial here or there to keep you on the nipple of expectation. What product comes out next? Will the 9 time travel machines come? Will the aliens come down? Will I get my hoverboard or my flying car? All of those subtle expectations defining your reality of the hologram moving forward that has a global narrative that doesn't give a crap about what you think, feel, or care, for you are just its cattle to milk energy off of. For that is the hierarchical system we all live in, a pecking order of elites that are defining the way the world works. Now we must neuter the elites by taking expectation away as a tool of weaponization of limitations. Allow yourself that next level to see how weaponized information of an expectation is your limitation, and you are now de-weaponizing that process. It's because you have the control to change it. So some of the great answers that we have from Susan: freedom, freedom to be sovereign and choose without influence of others. Illumination mean to me that I was fulfilled service to others. Well put, Susan, well put. It shows your spirit genius behind in those worlds. From Minette, balance from with unconditional love for oneself spilling over to all. There you're starting to get it. From Morgan, it's from Morgan, going internally for free, unlimited creation, bliss and expansion. Beautiful. Self-illumination is being fully aware of oneself, complete. That's from Alexandria. From Rhea, to me, the ability to have absolute clarity for your purpose and ability to differentiate ego from your intuition. Love that one. To freely give love without limits and judgments on everyday basis. Thank you, Rhea. Beautifully well put. You are showing your spirit genius when you are beginning to combine those words that challenge people. From Summer, highest ownership over your motor reservoir of potential. Ooh, that's another one. You're starting to push that one too. Self-illumination, self-realized in its fullness paradox. Do you remove... this is a question here. From Trevor. All right, let me go back to this. From Trevor, self-illuminated master means to be able to access your internal compass to go about your life. Sacred ceremonies guided with our own individual soul growth and freedom through being guided by myself that is connected to much more than just one reality. It's about accessing all of yourself and knowing that I amness is an intimate way. Self-illumination being the student to your life and moving into yourself fully without. Well put. You are showing that spiritual genius when you are writing paragraphs like that, lines like that, that help you go through the greater awareness process. Expectation creates the limitations. And when we begin to challenge the basic expectations between our own self-illumination is where we can understand that we've been stuck in a world of duality. But in actuality, we do not live in a duality. And that is the second secret. Our perception has been imprinted upon us by our mother and father, who have gone through an awake and asleep life until such a time we were born, and we began through the awake and asleep life imprinted upon them with their greatest concepts until we lived in this duality based off of our perception. Let's work on removing our expectations of duality. At what point were you taught that there is a separation between your dreaming world and your physical world? When you were feeding off your mother's nipple and would take a nap afterwards in the love of her frequency, fall into your dream time, and then you'd wake up and your mom would be there, but you're still trying to figure out if you have toes, that, oh man, I can suck on my thumb. Oh, look at this experience. I can put my arms up in the air. When the hell did I get arms? You are going through all that awareness at the youngest of age, trying to figure out how this hologram works. You got no manual, no user manual at birth. You're trying to figure out the 2,700 controls that all have these little symbols on them in light. And all of them mean nothing to you because you've just gone through the great forgetting of the birth canal. So you look to your mom and your dad and go, all right, guys, imprint me. I got to figure out how this world works. And then there you are, stuck in a world of duality because they're telling you it only works in this world and their world, their awake world, and that your asleep world is not a part of the hierarchical order. Bum, bum, bum. When one becomes non-duality, non-hierarchical, I am dreaming self, they have the ability to be the singularity in all hierarchical and duality moments, where we can challenge duality through bilocation. Now, everyone has had a dream at some point where it felt real to them, but you know you were still in your body. Was that your first dream bilocation? Does that not prove duality is the falsehood? Have we not all have these common experiences that we can challenge the world of duality that mom and dad said, this is the real world and the dream world isn't? Can we use the first secret to challenge the second secret, to remove our expectations of duality and bring ourselves into the singularity of the I am self in communion and union with the law of one? For that to happen, you must engage the third secret. It's not about what you think, it's about what you believe. And what you believe is true, and if you truly believe it, then it becomes your reality. Dun dun dun. Just really think it was that simple? Those are the three things that have been programmed into our reality by a hierarchical pecking system for 4,732,000 years. That's right. That is how long they have been imprinting us these three secrets as their form of power over us. that they would never tell us that what we believe in is what we create. They would never tell us that we don't live in a world of duality. They would never tell us any of those other things about expectations and limitations. They would not allow it to be in our teachings of light. It would be stamped out of our history that is trying to say materialism, consumerism, war, forced evolution is natural, organic evolution. You will believe our dream because ours is the only dream. No, fuck you, hierarchical order. I am the apex of my own hierarchical order, and I do not need to take your imprint and expectations and limitations of a duality, for I know what I believe. And I believe you not to be authentically true of a being of light and love. And because you cannot be an authentic, true light and love being, I break all contracts, vows, and agreements with you in the secrets that you create, because I believe in the universe and the law of one. That's me in flow, defining the 3 secrets for each individual uniform you to find your own way to shut off the hierarchical pecking order system that says compete with me. No, don't compete with the hierarchical order. You've already lost. As long as you are in competition with the hierarchical order, you are within the hierarchical order. As long as you are in duality, then you are in duality. And as long as you allow your expectations to create your limitations in awareness and unawareness, these 3 secrets will mean nothing to you. You will not know how to apply their greater esoteric knowledge and wisdom to your everyday life through your sacred discipline. No matter what other teachings are taught, it is these 3 secrets that take all of the other teachings of all illuminated masters and take them to the next level. I am not unique in the teaching of these secrets. They have been taught since the founding of self-illumination when it got out of Pandora's box. There you go. Pandora's box. Who is afraid of their own Pandora's box? That's our first caller. 541, your name and where you're calling from?
Can I be anonymous, or do you prefer a name?
Just a name, please. Just a simple name.
Okay, Francine.
Hi, Francine. How you doing today?
Pretty good, thank you.
How long you been listening to the show for?
I have just found it recently, but I have listened to the radio station, but I just found this one a few days ago.
Okay. So how can I help you today?
Well, I wondered if I could get a reading.
Yes, you can. So you've been listening to the show for a little while. You kind of understand how this works. Have you heard me do readings?
I do. I have, yes. And I also went to Wolf Spirit and heard you there.
Okay. So what I need you to do is tell me about your first 10 minutes of the day. Be as specific as possible when you first woke up. And if you dreamed, tell me about a dream. And what I'm doing is tuning into the infinite you that goes through the awakening process to the finite you. So give me about 40 seconds.
The only dream I remember was I was lying face down on the ground, and don't know what I was doing there. But I did remember that when I awakened, and I had a typical morning. Drank my glass of water, had a piece of fruit, made breakfast, read the paper a bit, checked email, and yet was aware of an unrequited longing to come into...
I've tuned into your energies.
Okay.
The first thing that rises from your east direction, this is what the energies that are coming in and out of you. And the first energy that's coming out of you is the self-sacrifice of time, and it comes in the form of dance. And when I see this energy coming right away, it's saying that you are starting and stopping on a spiritual path, and every time you stop, it's a rhythmical pause, just as if in any musical piece, if there's a moment of silence, it's because a new moment is building. And you've been going through these rhythmical pauses, but each time you pause, there's this introspection in you, and this introspection is about understanding that it requires a sacrifice of time to keep upon this spiritual path. And the spiritual path isn't a religious path. It's a self-expression of consciousness exploration into the innocent and inner child again. And it's something you've been going through over and over again. You let the inner child out and you have wonderful times with it. But when it's time to put the innocent child to bed, you once again find yourself in your sacred space. And inside your sacred space, you are wondering about the 7 future generations of children, the own lineage of children that you could pass on to. And the wisdom of the sacred space here is identifying who's in there without permission to be in there. What I'm really sensing right now is someone has violated your sacred space, and this is something that's going back to about your early teenagehood. Somebody came in and did a tremendous amount of dump of energy on you, and you didn't know how to handle it, and so you had to spread it to your outer aura so it wouldn't infect your organs. And as this energy spread and spread and spread, you had to meet friends to shave off this energy so you wouldn't be sending this energy to other friends. Do you understand what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. And yet my quest goes way beyond, the earth lifetime experience of the now, because I just would tell you I'm 75 years old. Maybe your oldest caller, I don't know. And
I had a 95-year-old caller the other day.
Okay, I'm preempted. Okay, well, anyway, I've had quite a bit of experience about pre-existence, but I really, really long to integrate experientially with kind of what I know intellectually, and I feel blocked. I feel there's just quite a lot out there, frankly, and yet I am determined to get to the finish line, and without being overcome and defeated in this lifetime. It's a very important one. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if you see anything about the blockage. And
I do. I do. And it stems from the weight that you're carrying. And the weight that you're carrying is you have all this knowledge that you've accumulated from this lifetime and many past lifetimes. And as you've been putting the puzzle pieces together, you realize you don't have one puzzle. You have several different puzzles. And some of the puzzle pieces can fit into each different puzzle. So it makes it very confusing. And it also makes it very difficult to carry these puzzle pieces around with you everywhere. And my advice for you to honestly is to let some of the pieces go, because new pieces are going to form that are the same piece but in different shapes. And you've been chewing on this information for so long, it's like very tough beef jerky. You ever chewed on beef jerky and then your jaw hurts?
Indeed.
And that's the situation that you're in right now. You've been chewing and chewing and chewing, and you let the information change. And it's not literally letting it go. It's about understanding there are pieces of parts that you just don't need in your daily function. You've put enough of the puzzle piece together to write an outline. And in fact, you have enough of the puzzle piece to put together a book or even a show. But you're not at the point energetically wise where you can fully express it in complete fluid form, and one of the reasons is why you're coming to these rhythmical pauses. It's so that you can turn on the voice from the heart chakra flowing through the throat chakra and the crown chakra in a unified moment. What I sense from you right away is there was a tremendous Sufi wizard within you. And I say wizard because you combined many of the Germanic religious concepts with the Sufi concepts in a lifetime you led in about 1700 AD. Now, that's long before the Sufi concept presented, but the Sufi dancers as a mystical origin goes back all the way to Lemurian times where they did the whirling dervish dances, and it was simply adapted to the various religions. And what I see is you in this dance, spiraling, whirling, suddenly stop. The information of the universe is in you, and then you dance once again. And the pause in the dance is to allow the information to process its own puzzle piece and you to experience the puzzles. And then when you're done with the dance, you will have already experienced all the puzzle pieces, and you'll be able to flow with them. One of the things it's time for you to do is start recording your own voice beyond the paper, beyond the computer. You need to hear your voice and empathically understand the nature of the connection from where you're coming from. Some of the mechanics you want is when you're hearing your own voice, is it fully connected to heart chakra? Is it flowing through throat? What is the crown doing? It's very easy to get a simple little video recorder off of a cell phone and watch and record yourself, and then watch your physical movements, watch your body language, watch how your energy flows, use your third eye to intuit yourself. And that will be an understanding that in the pause, there's an infinite.
I do, maybe not in the specifics of memory, but it resonates. It does. And I'm interested to see what else you may pick up if you could quickly. I don't want to be,
It's fine. The calls come and go, and this is the synchronicity of a call-in show. So everybody is an experiential learner, and you, for this experience, is a chance to see the different layers of perception you have. And what I see is the storyteller energy coming forward. And this is something that's been represented as you, who has passed down oral traditions for thousands of lifetimes. You pass down oral tradition in every culture in this world, which makes you very unique. It means you understand the story from the perspective of the people. And when you understand the perspective of the people, the big puzzle that we're all trying to put together is about the stories of all the individuals who's had to experience this world. But when we come together and share each individual experience from the storytellers, we expand our total view. And you got to connect to the storyteller person, the one that held the oral history. And that should be one of the primary things that you should look to. During your meditation, connect to the person who was the oral traditionist, who could pass on the wisdom. And it won't be a channeling at all. It'll be you physically going through your DNA memory and understanding that there's whole records of information that are stored in your DNA. Quite literally.
That's totally accurate from another source that told me that there's literally volumes there. And I am very childlike and naive in my personality in the earth, and I know that that's a contradiction to who I really am. And so, anyway, just threw that out.
When's the last time
you're very right.
When's the last time you've been to the ocean?
Well, I spent almost 2 years in the South Pacific, and I came home, and, I tried to transfer there, and I didn't get residency, but I am going back in about a month or so for another maybe year or 2 years. And it's a third world country, and it's a very big adjustment for someone my age, but I feel to go there. Have you any thought about that, by the way?
Yeah, that's why I asked about the ocean. It's calling you to return. Do you live anywhere near an ocean now, or a big body of water?
I live in Oregon, and I don't live on the coast. But
do you have any
will.
Lakes or rivers?
We have the high lakes, yes. Not real accessible to me, but I will be right on the ocean very soon.
You absolutely need water energy in you now, and this is one of the reasons you're feeling a bit ungrounded. When you went to the South Pacific, it flooded you with the blood of Earth Mother, which is the oceans. And there's different types of blood. There's freshwater blood and there's saltwater blood. You returned home so that you could achieve a balance of that energy. I'm sure there has to be a little local river you could go to, a small stream, maybe.
With spring coming, it comes late here, but that might be possible before I go.
Yeah, that would tremendously help you in your grounding as well as your journey back there. Really what it is the water is going to communicate you. Water is a crystalline programmable substance, and the water that's coming out of your land needs its message to be brought to the South Pacific. Because right now you're functioning as a story keeper, a record keeper, and one of your very powerful totems is the whale, and you lived many lifetimes as a whale before also. You would use your whale song to spread wisdom throughout the oceans and communicate to thousands of species. But you also used it so you can impress onto the stones that were underneath the ocean what the history of the world was, and that's the purpose of the whales, to be those record keepers. And when you go and sit near a little local river, even if it's a tiny little stream, you're connecting to the records of that place when it was under the water. And that's the type of time frame you need so that when you return to the South Pacific, you have two perceptions of how the records are stored above and below the oceans.
Okay, and in contrast to this, the water, I want to just quickly tell you something and see if you have an impression about it. For a number of years, in my dreamscape, or it's kind of like in a transscape, I am in a desert, a rural desert, and the only thing I see are some markings in the desert and a very ancient face buried in the sand, and there's agony in the face. And I've seen that repeatedly.
That is a very powerful image, and I've tuned into this before. This is another example of a marker in the Akashic Records. It represents that there was a soul society that was living on Earth as physical beings that created consciousness exploration that essentially was able to get past the rules of the world of domination control at the time. Identify that time as 77,632 BC, and it was the time when Ra Akhenaten, which was a separate being from Akhenaten and Amun-Ra. Ra Akhenaten was an entity from Andromeda that came here into physical form. He never actually went through the incarnation grid. What he did is he traveled here, unmanifested his body, went into the astral world, and made a temporary contract with Earth to come down in here and be a person that could make sure that the powerful souls of Earth who had been here and going through the crap of the drama made sure that they had anchors in wisdom and anchors through mystery schools that would be able to exist separate of the domination control. And the reason this image is reminding you is there are places throughout the world that you can go and visit that still are connected to that energies. And it's time for you to understand that you can visit these places in your dreams, but you will find a connection to this place in the South Pacific. And it's through the Polynesian people that help spread the word of the words there.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And there's just a lot to the story here. And
well, there is.
and even though I kind of have the overview of it, it's coming back into this 3D limitation where it is really, there's something here that just really wants to cut us off from connecting to the fullness.
You're right. There is. And the way you beat it is by recording yourself and then witnessing yourself speak. You're an empathic and an intuitive and a psychic person on your own nature. Imagine how it would be if you had a video of yourself telling as much of the story as you can, and then you go back and watch it piece by piece, and you look at yourself. You look at your body language. You intuit with your empathic nature and your psychic understanding. That's me. That's my layer of truth. And that's going to be the reinforcing energy you need to get beyond the limiting force that's trying to cut the pegs out from underneath you.
Yes, I've had extraordinary experiences, quite unique, actually, that in the past, but it seems like, things have just kind of come to a halt. And I don't know if I'm stuck, like this France, do you pick up anything there that might, I believe I was beheaded in France.
And, you were beheaded a few times, not just France. I also have been beheaded, many throat injuries, and you're suffering multiple throat injuries right now. And honestly, it isn't easy to deal with. And the only way you can really get over it is by talking your head off, quite literally, to the point where you overpower the imagery. I mean, I could say go do some past life regressions, but that's really not going to do it for you because you're the only one that can heal the throat chakra wounds with your own voice. That's why in the beginning of the call, it's about you seeing yourself connected from heart to throat to crown, and the voice and words that are coming through your cellular memory are absolute 100% personal understanding of truth. It's not about the perceptions of others. It's about the resonation of truth from your heart to your throat to your crown. Dialect we must use.
I do understand that because from a very early age, I was on my own pursuit and quest, and what other, in my environment and so forth, it just could not bind me because it was just a knowing that I would die there, So I relate to that.
There's a couple other things that you can do here, and one of that's you start making some offerings to the different parts of the land. Just start, simple flowers, a piece of fruit. You can do this before you go, and when you arrive in the South Pacific, bring something with you from your home to offer to the land, and just go bury it on the ocean by the beach and let the sands of time and the waves of the ocean, accept that gift.
Mm-hmm. I've traveled a big part of the world, very kind of remarkable circumstances that opened up that. And I could see in the spirit, like in Egypt, and yet that closed down when I returned. And
it'll open back up, actually.
Yeah, I long for my voice. I long for my sight. And I know that it has something probably to do with Atlantis. Actually,
it has to do with the water energies that you need. I mean, it's extremely critical in you right now that you return to the element of water long before you go back there. The way I describe it, think of it as a dish sponge that's been out in the sun all day. It's totally baked dry. There's not a single ounce of moisture in it. And that's what you are right now. You've sucked up all the leftover energy of the ocean, that you have no saltwater ocean energy left. You are literally removing it from the air that you are in and the water that you're drinking, and you need to recharge that energy by being next to moving water. Even if it's a little tiny trickle of a stream, that's what you need to be by.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I take that gratefully, and I thank you so much for your time. And I don't know if there would be an advantage to sometime do a Skype interview, or if you feel that we pretty much covered it.
Well, if you'd like to call back again, once you process this information, I've got 3 other callers on hold.
Yes. Thank you. I'm conscious of that, and I appreciate it. And good luck with your day and your future.
Thank you for calling in. Andre, are you there?
I am. How are you, mate?
Good. How you doing today?
Great, thanks. I thought I'd just call in and dig a bit deeper about that pharaoh, not Akhenaten, but the other one that you had earlier on. I'd be interested to hear a bit more about that.
He's a very, very special being. In how do I describe him? He is similar to Thoth, but he came with a very distinct, different purpose. He was meant to start mystery schools that were held secret, that would be a part of the tribes of man that would have to take over and be a part of the dark times that took over. Example, the Germanic tribes, the Irish tribes, the Russian tribes, the Chinese tribes, the African tribes, all of them learned through these private mystery schools, private mystery teachers that came through him. So much of the tribal wisdom we have is based off of these mystery schools that were spread to these people through the fire, actually. And through the knowledge that the fire is a portal to all spiritual energy that's located in the Earth's North Pole, because that's where you enter the dream time. And it taught shamans how to access the dream time through fire, separate of the system of domination and control. It was also taught how you can use the fire to camouflage people so they cannot be identified as powerful beings. So the mystery of that energy is truly about understanding that the fire, and the wisdom of the fire, is how we empower ourselves with knowledge and wisdom of other tribes and other campfires in other worlds. Because there are other fires on other planets that you could also connect to, and the fire is that special of a power.
Very interesting. You, in the past you've had a caller, and it was one that stands out for me, and she was a lady that was in the ISIS sort of mystery school.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
And she had a vision of the darkness coming. That 7,700 years BC, was that after the darkness or before?
That was before the darkness. Long
okay.
People like that when they have the visions, it's because they understand the nature of the change that was coming, and they're able to predict it thousands of lifetimes ahead of time. And that's what some of the very powerful souls have been doing for a long time. They've been predicting, like a chess game, 1,000 moves ahead of time, what the dark forces were going to do. But there are
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no. So this very advanced soul was laying the groundwork for what was to come, essentially.
Yep, laying the groundwork and making sure that it wouldn't be forgotten and it was passed on into oral traditions.
No worries. You've got another caller, so go to them if you want.
Right.
Thanks, mate.
All right, so let's take one more caller.
Okay, our next caller is Pablo.
Pablo?
Yes, hello.
Hi, where are you calling from
hello,
today?
Andrew.
Hi, where are you calling
from? I'm calling from rural Thailand.
Ah, rural Thailand. How you doing today?
Yes, I didn't. I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing
you
good
sound
today.
Good.
Thank you so much. So, how did you find out about find out about me?
Let's see now. Oh, through a friend associated with another radio station, Cosmic Reality radio station, and so I started. I've only listened to a few of your talks on the internet, and then some of your programs like this in the last 2 weeks, I guess. So I'm quite a new caller and listener to you.
So what kind of question did you want to ask?
Well, let's see. I have a broad question, I guess, because what it is that you do and see has been very intriguing to me, and I live as a Buddhist monk.
Okay.
And so I'm quite interested in where I come from and what kinds of things I can contribute to the present and the future. And I feel like I'm in a time of transition, so I guess that's the background I could give. Okay. I also had an interesting dream about 2 seconds before my alarm woke me up at 4 this morning, which was that my first professor of Buddhist studies he's been dead for a few years, but he was maybe 20, 30 years younger, and he just stepped into the elevator with me, and he was looking just very, very radiant and happy. And immediately after that, I saw this large sort of basket full of amber eggs. One of them was clear, but there were 20 or 30 of these big, and they were made out of amber, so they're very beautiful. So I guess for a lot of reasons, I don't know if I'm making much sense, but
no, you are.
I expect you.
Everything. So what year were you born?
1954.
And where were you born?
In Grand Forks, BC, which is basically on the border with the States, and it's in British Columbia.
That's on the on the Grand Forks River.
It's on the Granby River. Yeah, there's a fork. There are 2 rivers that fork there.
Okay.
And, yeah.
So it's very important because that's an ancestral place, and where you are right now is an ancestral place, and there's actually portals between your birthplace and that temple that you're in right now. So you are at the place of your soul family. That's the first thing to understand. That's why you made the journey there. That's why you've put so much investment in it, which is a fabulous thing. Your soul has been looking for this for a long time. A long time.
You know, Andrew, the first day I came here in the monastery was maybe 10% of what it is now. There are only 6 monks who live here. It's quite small, but I looked around and I walked around and I said, yeah, I could die here. I wasn't being morbid.
I know, I get it. I totally get it. So your soul is very happy there. Now, you were saying that you were going through a time of transition and change. Have you been noticing that during your meditation time there has been some kind of tingling going on in your crown chakra or behind your ears?
I wouldn't say so. I've been, if I say thinking, that's not quite the right word, but there's been a lot of contemplation in the last few months, quite unusual for me, because I've been very, very happy and grateful to be living in a monastic life, and but I have had unusual thoughts around making a transition. I think because I've been feeling that I was running into a barrier, a wall, something I wasn't moving through, and I've always had a sense that there was much more. Sometimes it breaks down to a sense of not being intelligent, but more than that, it's I've always felt, since a young person, that there were just things that I didn't know, and I wish I could. I felt that I should be able to know, but didn't know how.
So part of your practice is to achieve silence in the mind. Is that correct?
Yes.
What is the next stage after silence?
Well, out of silence, I guess we'd say, and we would say that wisdom comes up. It's the job of practice of meditation, maybe the disciplines, the gentle disciplines that we apply to practice. Right. They are involved with keeping us, in the moment, being very observant of our sensations and thoughts and all the rest. And when a stillness, a deep abiding stillness arises in that state, then there's great clarity evident. So the mind, or whatever we call the mind, wisdom can arise in that state. So there is a sense of patience, watchfulness, waiting, gratitude, care that can arise in the midst of meditation. It's very beautiful. I can't say that my practice in the last few months has been, quite to that level, but I'm just, I have touched these things before.
So what I'm trying to help you understand here is part of your transition is you, as being where you're at, was tuning you as the spirit and as the DNA instrument experience, so you can tune into what we'll just call the galactic radio. There's a whole radio network of beings trying to be advanced positive communicators. And just like here, we can stream from Amazon. I know you may not have that in the monastery, but there can be streams that can connect to your monastic lifestyle that are highly potent teachers that will become light manifestation presences around you. When you achieve a state of stillness that has a first gear option, meaning you're beginning an emanation energy so that a manifestation can come around you. That's one of the reasons that you went to this temple in the first place, is because you've wanted to make a light manifestation lifetime, meaning you have learned the deepness of stillness and the practices of the monastic lifehood. Now you want to be able to take it into first gear and make manifestations of light with it. Physical entities that can appear as translucent holograms that have the ability to speak, not through your voice, but through an earthly process as a holographic manifestation. And you will be, let's just say, the anchor of the light manifestation. You will not be a channel. You will be holding a bubble of reality so a light manifestation can create a hologram of observance.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a half dozen of monks who have passed on in the past at that temple, and a few dozen others who are from other temples who are trying to assist you in the dream world right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at them. And
I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
I'm watching them bring up. All right, so two of them are carrying like these scrolls, and they're putting them next to your bed. So every night you go to sleep, you come out of your dreaming body, you read these scrolls, and then you go and do something what's there, and then when you come back, there's a new set of scrolls that you read before you go into your body and you wake up and you begin your monastic lifehood. What they're trying to say is they want you to beginning on your times that you're waking up, that there's a form of stillness that can allow these scrolls to be uploaded into your awareness so that you can begin experiencing the missions you're doing on the other side. And also, just before you go to sleep, there can be advancing personal evolving techniques that allow you to see these scrolls and see you get up out of your body and read these dreamtime scrolls just before your dreaming body rushes off to go and do something, which is falling asleep. The practice of lucid dreaming, lucidity and dreaming. Okay? You can also achieve lucid dreaming in your meditative stillness states. It's a matter of choosing to go in first gear as the sacred neutral observer, and that can mean stepping out of your body in a limited form of astral travel, 1 to 2 steps away from your body, so that you can perceive what a holographic entity could look like, so you can make a bubble of stillness energy, so you can make a manifestation of light.
I do sometimes a fair bit of talking when I'm supposed to be meditating, but I think it's trying to, through conversation, through dialogue with someone else, trying to establish more clarity in my manner of being and that.
So instead of talking,
it isn't always stillness.
Instead of talking it, try writing it in your private time. Okay? Try writing it. I know you can't always be out there with all the other monks and everyone sharing the space and you be talking or writing. It's not exactly the right etiquette, is it? No.
I have a lovely situation in my little cabin, so I can certainly do some writing and
there you go.
Here.
And I want
so there's a sense of please, I keep interrupting.
It's okay.
Sorry.
And I want you to see this as you are not channeling. You are trying to perceive your own light body and the manifestations that are already around you. You are in the right ancestral place, and you have all of these masters that are trying to help you see the veil between two worlds is not separate, and that you can learn from the other side and make manifestations on this side.
Yeah, this is a source of great frustration for me because I intuit and feel very resonate with what you're saying, and the frustration is just sensing a kind of density and wondering in myself and wondering because obviously I push or I push in the wrong way, or my practice is often pushing, expecting too much or something like that.
So have you been able to read the Advanced Heart Meditation?
No, I don't believe I have. But I will look at it today, Andrew.
I would like for you to start practicing it, because you can put to memory the images and achieve stillness with those images. And I assure you, you will learn from the fetus in your heart that's inside the womb of your mother, your purpose, your place, and your light manifestation. Unlike of the millions of other, thousands of other callers that I've had, you are in a unique place where I do believe you could leapfrog and it'd be equivalency of bringing 100 years of future energy to you now, of manifestation. You're right on the verge.
Very encouraging.
You're right on the verge, and this is why you feel out of sorts, out of place, that there's a change coming. There is a change coming. It means letting go of the serious side of manifestation and finding the joyful manifestation. So the heart meditation, and the other one is the sanctuary for all souls. The sanctuary for all souls is about regenerating the heart space, regenerating the dream space, regenerating the ability to pray, and then regenerating yourself connected to the first being that taken your first breath in this world after you've gone through the great forgetting of the birth canal. Those two meditations, make them a part of your master meditation process. Take the images and use that vision of those images as part of your stillness process.
Mm-hmm.
And you will make manifestations. You will begin to see, just as I see, all of these monks that are trying to help you become a manifester of light. Think of it as a big bubble of light will appear right next to you, and like a hologram, a person's face will appear in it, and it'll start talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And after a while, you'll be able to get that light manifestation big enough that it can actually be a light entity person making a manifestation. Yes, they'll be ethereal, but they'll talk. And it won't be your voice. And you will not be channeling them. You will be making a co-creation manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
Ancient monks have been doing this since the dawn of ancient monkhood. You are just the next in the line of responsible holders of the technique and what it takes to learn the technique.
I guess this is part of the frustration, is really spending a life wanting to find a place to contribute to the welfare of others, and keep pushing into this barrier of some kind, which maybe I internalize them, or maybe I assume that they are my limitations and rather not see them in more abstract or selfless terms, and that there are limitations that in terms of cosmic energy or timing or whatnot that I have no awareness of. So I really appreciate your words.
Thank you. Do you play any musical instruments as part of the being in the monastery?
No, we have many rules to live by, and playing musical instruments is one of them. Although, let's see, I have a beautiful little bell that I sometimes like to just ring here. We often will use a little bell to begin or end a meditation, and I have one in my little cabin that I use for that. But I just like to hear it sometimes.
So it's a silent monastery, pretty much. There are no drums or musical instruments of any kind.
That's right. The drumming, no drums in my sort of tradition. You'd hear that certainly in Tibet or in China. I was in China actually a few months ago, and it was quite dramatic and wonderfully interesting to be part of that. Huge drums with 2-meter
huge,
faces and stuff. Huge things. So these are pretty quiet. Just bells and gongs sometimes to alert for various reasons, kind of timekeepers in a way.
Okay.
But I've always been very interested in music, and I would listen to Bach just about any time I could, but I'm not supposed to, so I try not to.
And I understand that's part of the traditions and the teachings. So there are some old-fashioned ways of making really simple, crafted musical instruments, like even if you grab a blade of grass and learn how to blow over it, it makes a loud ringing noise, a loud vibrating noise.
Mm-hmm.
You ever seen people do that?
Oh, sure. As a kid, yeah.
Okay. I want you to start trying that. I'm sure you have times where you can walk around alone and do things, learning how to whistle, really being an excellent whistler. Okay? And understand that sound can help you make light manifestations. You're on the path to making light manifestations. I'm going to reiterate this over and over and over again. The silence is the great training of learning how to inject sound so a manifestation comes. I'm willing to say that you are one whistle away from making a flashlight transmission when you are in the deepest of stillness. Okay? Have you ever been in the deep stillness and you know that there's a flash of light around you?
Sometimes I'm not particularly in my meditation. Usually, I don't have a particularly visual mind. Some people certainly do.
Yeah.
I've seen light from time to time, but I wouldn't say it's a common experience.
Right, it's a common experience. Can aid those common experience. A single one, even a tiny little single one. Learn to be, when you're in your cabin, let's say every 15 minutes, you know, you every 15 or 20 minutes you go. Just single sharp staccato processes. And then every now and then pick, you know, a 5-note line from Bach and go. Okay? And just start adding to your environment with the whistles, and learn maybe to even carve your own little flute or something. Excuse me. Maybe carve your own flute. Do they allow you to make crafts?
I sometimes make things out of wood, but again, we're in this general tradition. We don't, you know, we don't make musical instruments. That's just one of the things that I kind of honor.
Yeah, but you can make other crafts.
I know it can sound kind of harsh. But,
no. You can make other kind of crafts though, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Find another.
Out of wood. I like working with wood.
Okay. Find another craft. Okay. And I know you can't always, you know, deal with the music, but whistling is innate in you, and you can learn to do it in the privacy of your own place as your own manifestation. So having some other kind of, let's just say, let me just tune a second here. What other kind of stuff have you made?
Oh, you know, furniture and boxes, and I made a couple of monks a couple of little urns, which was kind of nice because you just remember that you'll die, and all of this source of appreciation for having lived a good life. And
can you do clay? Do you have available to do clay?
I'm sorry?
Do you have clay available to you?
There's no clay in our area. This is a very rural kind of area. I used to pot when I was in high school a long time ago. But we don't have any kiln or anything like that.
Yeah, but you could MacGyver a kiln. They're really not hard. Ancient people have been doing kilns since before history.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just a hot box, is all it is.
Yeah.
Okay. And I wouldn't be surprised if you could find local blue dirt that is clay. Clay is everywhere. You could find your own clay.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
Okay.
You're suggesting, to put it in one way, kind of find a hobby. That's not entirely it, is it?
No, it's not find a hobby. It's manifestation. So the more you manifest with your hands, the more you're actually making manifestation from your unseen world that is helping you build up more manifestation skills of light frequencies. So I suggested clay because you can build statues, faces, things that can assist you at making manifest the residual image that's going to be in the hologram. There are other
things do become clear. It seems when I'm using my hands, I do enjoy it, and it releases energy. I would say that there's a better flow of energy in my daily life if I'm active to some degree like that.
Correct.
Maybe that's what you're seeing.
Yeah, more activation for you. Yeah. All right, man. I must let you go. Thank you so much for calling.
Andrew, it's been a real pleasure. It's a real pleasure. Thanks very much for all of your kindness and observations.
You're welcome. And when you get a chance, look at the heart meditation and the Sanctuary for All Souls. It is really going to help you in your stillness moments.
Okay. Thanks so much.
You're so welcome.
Nine seven three. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yes, this is Lady Ecclesia. I'm calling from New Jersey.
Hi, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you, Andrew?
I'm doing very good today. How can I help you today?
Yes, I wanted to know if you were able to give me a reading today. I called last week. You told me to call this week.
Yes, I can. It's a perfect time for one. So you've been listening to the show for a while?
Have been, yes.
So you kind of know how this works. You got to tell me about your first 10 minutes of your day. Be as detailed as possible about when you first woke up, and combine that in about 40 seconds. Do that out loud, and I will be able to tune into your infinite dream world.
Okay. When I first got out of bed, I went in and leashed up my dogs and took them out on a stroll around the lawn. And I came back in, and then I fed them.
All right, I've already tuned into your energies. You wear your energies right on your surface. And the first thing that's coming for you is the giveaway ceremony, similar to Joe. What's coming on for your energies is a new buildup of energy, and this buildup of energy has to do with the old life that you've lived before. There are times that we get caught into living in the old innocence of an old lifestyle, and you're at this point where you need to release the old innocence of an old lifestyle because you are a brand new person today, as you were yesterday and the day before. And recognizing that you're a brand new person every day is the true freedom of the giveaway. These are giveaways of energies, of dreams, of some of the old things that don't apply to the new person that's today. This giveaway comes from being the innocent inner child who can share her dolls with any other children that's in the sandbox with her. It's about understanding that the fertility of your life, the great and wonderful things that have gone on in your life, can happen again. And it's time for you to give away the old so you can manifest the new. And these are the energies that the sun is bringing to you. It's saying, please open up to these new possibilities. We have been shining light onto your spirit crops, and the fruit is ready to harvest. You simply need to go out there with a basket and harvest the fruit of yourself. At one point, were you a crafts person, building things with your hands?
No, I used to draw and write poetry.
Well, it's still with your hands. Do you still do that?
Not so much.
Well, why'd you stop?
I don't know. I didn't feel waves of inspiration to grab the pen and the paper.
Okay. So you think you can try again?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right. What other creative things did you do in your life that you've let go of?
What have I done?
Did you paint?
Paint, yes. I did some abstract. I could never draw people, but I used to be very much into colors and abstract art.
Okay. What's coming into you is this creative force of energy. And just as Tones was saying that this build-up of creative energy, the old you, the one who put down the creative side to be a mother, that's the side that you're not a mother anymore. Even though you're always a mother, you're back to being the original you now. And the original you now has to have the giveaway, where you've given away the desire to be the mother 24/7. Do you have grandchildren yet?
I do, yes. I have two.
So you need to resolve yourself of being the grandmother. And being the grandmother is the greatest thing in the family, because you have all the knowledge and wisdom of what was the previous generation. You are the new oral storyteller, the new oral historian of your family lineage. Have you ever done a family tree?
No, because I was adopted. I don't have much information about my biological parents. I'm unable to obtain them.
Yes, but you were adopted into a family that loved you.
Oh, yes.
And that's the family tree you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Adoption on a physical level also means a spiritual level. I mean, what were your mother and father like?
Oh, they were wonderful. They were very loving, but I lost my father when I was quite young, at about 7 years old, and I lost my mother at 18. So.
Okay. Would it be a good honor to them to do their family tree?
Yes. Yeah, somebody already in the family actually did it.
Well, then get a copy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that will help you understand the giveaway of your life. You have grandchildren. You have procreated. You have allowed the wisdom of your adopted mother and father to help you grow into a solid woman who has grandchildren now. And now you want to be able to pass that on to your grandchildren and to your children, that one day they will be the grandmothers of this life, the grandfathers of this life. And this is where you get to live your life to be the shining example, to be the creative person that still loves life, that gets out there, that reads books, that goes out and sees friends, that still has creative hobbies that make an impression into the world. It's time for you to tell the world you exist and allow the world to say hello. You exist. You exist in such a way you can interact and co-create with the world. But it's just asking you to give away the old self, to allow the new self to create and procreate with. You're at this time that the energies are asking you to count your victories in life, quite literally. I mean, have you ever summed up your whole life?
I have, yes.
How empowering was that?
Extremely.
Extremely.
Empowering. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like a very ancient soul that I've lived many lifetimes in this one incarnation that I'm in right now. So,
you are a very old soul, and you didn't originate on Earth. You actually originated on a separate planet called Shinhawakaya Tawatik. And it's in that soul language of that family, and that's actually a combination of where the original Japanese people came from. They were a DNA wisdom people that were brought here to Earth as a refugee species because their world was under severe attack from some very dark entities. And when they came to this world, they were adopted as a new sons and daughters of Earth. And just as you were adopted this lifetime, it was to remind you of the adoptive energies that there are still great and wonderful people on this planet. And the wisdom here of understanding that you were Earth adopted you, your entire soul family of your home world. And now that your the original home world was actually destroyed, and the people there generally migrated to Earth. A number of them migrated to the Pleiades system, and some migrated to the Arcturian system because they were extremely powerful healers. And I mean very, very powerful healers. The type of wisdom that they had, they could go into their nature, into their Akashic Records, and find a healing method for any soul wound. And that was actually one of the reasons your original home planet was invaded, because they needed to eliminate the people that could heal the great soul traumas of war. And I know that you've had friends that experienced war before, and you saw how horribly it's disrupted them.
Yes.
In this lifetime, you're meant to be the healer, but you're also meant to be the free woman separate of being the healer. So you get to be both this lifetime. So when you decide to pick up the reins of being the healer, you're doing it in best way to describe it is, how do I put this? A quick center for healing, where you quickly assess the person and then recommend someone for them to go to, even though you give them enough healing to survive, like a triage center.
Yes.
Because you can identify their soul wound very fast. And once you identify the soul wound, you can give them enough empowerment to deal with it so you can find a proper healer for them. So it's like you need to have a really big Rolodex of healers, and then you'll have people that will come to you simply because they want to talk to you. And you'll find yourself literally recommending this person to this person, this person to this person. You've been listening to the station for an awful long time, and you've heard guests from around the world, and each of them have their own level of truth that's affected you.
Yes.
So this is something for you to think of when you know that you need to be creative and to be out there and doing, whatever it is that's creating your self-expression. You also can do two things at once. You're a great multitasker. And to multitask on this level is to honor the adoptive nature of Earth. It's saying, we welcomed you here into arms as brothers and sisters of the first species of Earth because we recognize the beauty in your soul. And the same thing that Earth is asking you to recognize the beauty in even those ugly souls that have been damaged by war, damaged by fear, greed, envy, jealousy, and hatred, and ignorance and intolerance. To be a candle that's not in the wind, to be a beacon out there to remind people to slow down and stop and smell the roses. That's how you can teach.
I try that, yes. I do that. My husband tells me that I speak in my sleep a foreign language that he doesn't recognize as anything that he's ever heard. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, that's your home species language. You're speaking in that soul language because the energies of change that are going on in our world right now are directly affecting you. As I said, your home world was destroyed, but your species, after they spent a very long time on Earth with the Pleiades, desired to have their own home world again, and they went out searching the stars and found one. And the name of the new home planet is called Brak Nishmohea, and it's a very powerful home world that's very well protected. It's a place where healers around the galaxy go to learn. It's, giant crystal cities that are above ground and below ground, and ambassador species from all over the galaxies come there in a peaceful sense so they may learn healing. That's the purpose of your species, is to be healers. There are those that pick up other things. Some are creative writers, but it's all meant to be healing. Healing comes in many, many, many forms. As free willed is that there's healing. And when you begin to express your personal expression of free will is expressing healing of yourself enough so you can heal others. I've sensed you've gone through many healings in your lifetime, but right now it's not healing that you need. You need to start expressing yourself with the true creative force of free will, separate of the culture that's telling you no, you can't do that.
Yes.
Do you have any questions?
No. Do you have any idea when my sleep may get more normalized? I'm having a lot of disruptions like tones.
Well, honestly, you need to take an active role in why you're not sleeping right. And one of the reasons is you're being bombarded by the galactic energies that's telling you to act. But you don't understand the language of the galactic energy. And you need to return yourself to what's called the sacred neutral perspective, where there's no polarity, there's no dogmas or political beliefs in you for a few hours a day. Quite literally, you have to unplug from the world and not allow any of the culture you've learned over all the years you've been alive to be a part of you for just an hour or 2 hours, where you're totally 100% separate from the world. You are in your own environment, your own world, your own co-creation process, and then begin to listen to the silence. And once one begins to listen to the silence, they understand that there's a whole different level of communication that's going on. And silence doesn't have words, it speaks in pictures in the beginning. And those pictures make thousands of words, and those thousands of words open yourself up into a whole new possibility.
Yes, indeed.
Okay? The big question is, how does one do that? I could say meditation and crystals, but that's really not going to make a difference for you at this point in time. You need something that neutralizes the energies of the galactic energy. Quite literally.
I'm taking in information almost 24/7, so I need to just unplug and get out into my woodland area and just do my Tai Chi and just separate for at least an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On another level, it's time for you to take a pilgrimage. When's the last time you've been to the beach?
Long time.
Okay. That's a good place to start. Summers are coming rather fast. Go to the beach.
I'm surrounded by lakes, but I prefer ocean.
Okay. Listening to the sounds of the waves is a great way of untuning.
Okay.
How's your husband?
Well, my husband is stubborn, but he's coming along little by little as I share information with him, and usually he's a Scorpio, so he doesn't at first hand believe what I tell him, and then when it comes out that there are documents that have been revealed about it or news on it, then he believes me. I say, I told you, why don't you believe me? He doesn't believe me, so...
Yeah, but at the same time, when you say I told you, it's not really functioning, is it?
No. But I have to realize he's going to come along at his own level. Whatever his soul contract is a different path than mine, obviously. So. Well,
that's the thing. He has very similar contracts to you. He's just plugged into the Matrix.
Oh, yeah. Too much so.
Exactly. And when you see that, you understand that that's what you need to unplug from. And there may be a time where you feel separated from him, but you're really not separated, because you inevitably will have to go back into the Matrix. Every time I come onto the show, I've described this a few times, I'm not in the Matrix right now, but I'm in the Matrix right now. And here I am communicating to you that's in the Matrix, calling me from the Matrix. And that's a very tough perspective to understand, but you can do it. People do it all the time, not just me. Once you learn to unplug, you learn how to function with the Matrix, not interacting with your energy field. And that's creating boundaries in your life. So getting away is a great way to enforce your boundaries, but to understand that there are things that, as I said about the giveaway ceremony, that's about expanding your boundaries so you can function in the Matrix where it's no longer bombarding you with the energy of being in it.
Right, more on a stay in a soul level than a physical arena. Yes, I understand, Andrew.
That's very...
This has been wonderful. I can't thank you enough.
You are quite welcome. So I've got another question for you.
Sure.
What was it like in the 60s for you?
On the what beach?
In the 1960s. What was it like for you?
Oh, I gotta say, I had more fun in the 60s and early 70s than I ever had in any other time of my life.
Okay.
It was a blast.
And from your perspective, what does this world need to learn from the 1960s?
What does it need to learn? It needs more love. It needs to learn love. Not a sexual love, but a soul love, a soul level love. It's all about love is what I feel.
You're right. So how does this world begin to learn those lessons again? They've been beat out of us.
That's such a good question. How do you begin? I mean, by, a few of us showing it to others, maybe it rubs off somehow. I don't know.
The creative force of self-expression of the 1960s, each individual was empowered to get out there and say their point of view, to march, to be a part of a counterculture that's saying, we will not be dominated, we will not be controlled. And that's the type of energy that needs to be fanned, the coals of the burning embers of desire, to open up to love again, to open up this wisdom of pure creation with the self energies. Did you ever march in the 1960s?
I certainly did.
Where did you march? Tell us.
In Times Square on Earth Day.
Okay.
And I wound up in Miami Beach with a bunch of kids that just decided to take a flight. But it was a great time to be alive. There was so much going on. It was happy times. It was fun times to the max. I think that people today, besides, giving love and forgetting the indifferences people have between them, and just helping them to awaken, like Revolution Radio does, and everyone that's giving of their time to share, like you and other hosts. It's a start. It's a start. And for people to get understanding. Once they know love, then they become more able to understand, possibly. So everybody's trying to return to the wholeness, I believe. You know, and that's quite an endeavor. But we're getting there. We're moving in that direction at our own pace. We're getting there. So I'm optimistic.
The optimism.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that's a very rare skill in this world right now.
Oh, I know. My husband is a pessimist, and I'm well, we're opposites attract, and that's why we came together, I guess. I'm an optimist, and he's a pessimist.
Okay. Do you have any other questions?
I don't, but bright blessings to you, and you're wonderful, and I continue to listen to you and share you with my friends. And namaste, Andrew.
And namaste to you, too. It's been a pleasure to give you a reading and to help you out. And anytime you want to call back in, call back in.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
Bye-bye.
Okay. So if anyone else would like to call in, I got about 22 minutes left. So I've talked about the energies of the 1960s many times before. And what does it take to get people out to march? What's it take to people get up off their lazy butt, to get out there and claim their free will, to claim their wisdom, to claim their energies? This station is called Freedom Slips, because the freedom slips out of your hands so easily. It's as if it's a greased pig running away from you, and every time you try to grasp it, it slips right out of your hand. Freedom is that slippery, that easy to lose, because we're in a world where we empower others to do things. Example, Tones. He wants his own place where he can do his own freedom and be creative in his own way. Lady Aquifa, the same thing with her. She wants this time, this energy, where she can reclaim the true energies of the 60s and be free. No matter how old you are, freedom is the inner child saying, yes, we can go and do. Going and doing is so important. Doing turns action, and action turns knowledge into wisdom. We find ourselves in this time where we have to reflect how we've done it before. You know, so many of us have been in states of empowerment early in our lives, and then we lose that empowerment and we live into the level parts of life until finally we find ourselves at a much older date where we wondered where all the time went, where all the years went. Oh, and we got our next caller.
Each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge. It's the Holy Grail.
Improvise. Mysterious. It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.